What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Friday, June the 3rd. We're going to continue on in our series of win totals, hitting the NFC North today. Joining me to do so, a man who bears some resemblance to Ryan Fitzpatrick, just like myself. I guess that's just the beard factor. Tyler Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Bo? Yeah, it's definitely the beard. That's really all it is.
Right.
I wish I could grow a beard that long. I don't commit fully.
I don't know if my beard will actually grow that long.
I kind of get like the weird patches like around the chin, like it grows a little bit further out. It's like a chia pet. It'll go a little bit further. But then I'm like, okay, I got to shave that down because it just looks stupid.
So like my hair, like on my head, doesn't grow long. It grows like into a giant mushroom.
Okay. That's kind of what Fitz has going on, right?
Yeah, like I don't know that I could ever grow my hair down to my shoulders. Like I legitimately, I've never tried, obviously, but I don't know if I could. I mean, I guess if eventually it would weigh itself down and.
But that's like another thing too. If you try to go, like there is that awkward phase that you have to fight through when you're growing your hair out. Like a buddy of mine did it during college because he played football and he wanted to have his like hair come out of his helmet and all that stuff just for whatever reason. And there was a summer where it was real awkward.
Yeah. My hair just won't, my hair's not like that thin. Like it needs to be thinner to be long. And I think my beard's like the same way. Like my beard will turn into this, like if I didn't shave it, it would just be this like thick, like
it's like bushily.
Almost like one of those the Egyptian the Egyptian
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like just that straight out.
Like I could probably do that if it took me like 10 years or something. But
I don't know. I think I could, if I committed to it, I think I could get a Fitz thing going, but I don't know. I kind of just like keeping it somewhat trim.
Well, and we bring this up because Ryan Wilson, our colleague, has tweeted out, has photoshopped and tweeted out a picture. Congrats to Ryan Fitzpatrick on a great career. No surprise that John Breech cherished the Bengals, his Bengals years the most. ESPN did a timeline of Fitz's face for all of his teams that he played for, all 9 of them. And Wilson went in and photographed my face into Ryan Fitzpatrick's Bengals headshot. And frankly, it like you can't like I clicked on it, was like, oh my God, why am I was like, I thought ESPN had messed up. And it like somehow grabbed my photo instead of Ryan Fitzpatrick's photo, which would just be incredible.
It's an unreal Photoshop. Like, is Wilson that good at photos? Like, is he?
Yeah, Wilson's pretty good. He's pretty. I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, it is a really good Photoshop. I think it took him a while to do it.
Yeah.
Or it's just that easy to sub out my face with Ryan Fitzpatrick's face. One of the two.
Yeah, just to squeeze it all in. I mean, when you're right next to the rookie year Rams, where it looks like, Tom Brady when he first came out, just like that pudgy face for Fitzpatrick. You had a glow up going from then St. Louis to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think the only problem is that like the Bills Ryan Fitzpatrick sort of gives it away.
Yeah.
And it's not him. Like if it went from Bengals to Titans, and you can see this at Ryan Wilson CBS on Twitter, like you would totally believe that I was Ryan Fitzpatrick. Although somebody did point out like the Bengals are so messed up, they screwed up Ryan Fitzpatrick's bone structure.
But the other thing too is like the facial hair too, because you kind of got like a shadow going on in that photo. And if it went from
that's what I'm saying.
To Titans,
if you need to skip the Bills, and then you would believe the birth of the beard, but instead it kind of throws it away. But
gotta give it to Wilson. That's a great Photoshop.
Great Photoshop. Great job, Wilson. Keep it up. Let's keep up with our win totals. We'll dive into the NFC North. And as soon as I can find the email there we go. We'll start, of course, at the Packers because they have a win total that's 2 higher than anybody else. After going 13-4 last season, which now means they went 13-3, 13-3, 13-4 in Matt LaFleur's 3 seasons under the running the team. And of course, lost Devontae Adams in a trade this offseason. Marcus Valdes-Scantling also signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Zadarius Smith was released for cap reasons and signed with Minnesota. And then Economy St. Brown also left. So a total just departure of the wide receiver core. They added Sammy Watkins and Christian Wilkins. Sammy Watkins in free agency, Christian Wilkins in the draft. Jerron Reed also added on a 1-year deal to shore up the defensive line. Their over-under, Sully, is 11. They open up at Minnesota versus Chicago, at Tampa Bay versus the Patriots. I don't see any real reason why they wouldn't go. I mean, 2-2 would kind of be 2-2 is possible with those road games. I think 3-1 is probably what I would project. But then with home games against the Jets and the Giants, or Giants and Jets, excuse me, after that, I think worst case is they're going to be 4-2 after about 6 weeks. And then you still have 2 games against the Lions. You do have to play the Bills, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Rams, but there's enough on here where it's hard to imagine the Packers not winning the NFC North fairly handily, even with the loss of Adams.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, like you said, that's the biggest story. How is this wide receiver unit going to look? How's Rodgers going to be able to mesh with these guys out of the year? That's why I'm a little bit concerned about that first game, week 1 in Minnesota. I think that that's a sneaky possible loss there for them. But even if you account that, I mean, I see like 5 games on their schedule that proved to be really difficult. Obviously, I think that game, just getting everybody together, is going to be difficult. But then you go to Tampa, you go to Buffalo, you go to Philadelphia, which I think is going to be difficult towards the end of the year. And then you're hosting the Los Angeles Rams. That is after a bye for them. So they do catch a little bit of a break going up against the defending champs. But those games there, those are going to be difficult. Those, I could see, even if you chalk those up, though, to 5 losses, you're still hitting the over on this. So I do like them.
Yeah. So I've got, like I said, 4-2 after 6 weeks. I think they'll beat Washington, lose to Buffalo. I think Rodgers will still own Detroit. So I've got, that's what, 6-3. I'll give them a win against Dallas at home. It'd be a tough game, but and then a win against Tennessee as well. So I've got through 11 weeks, 8-3. I'm going to give them a loss at Philadelphia, but a win at Chicago.
Yep.
So we're at 9-4 heading into the Week 14 bye, which means you just have to beat 2 of the Rams at home, Dolphins on the road, Vikings at home, Lions at home.
Which you're probably going 3-1 there.
It's a push, right?
Yeah,
Should go 3-1 there. The one problem would be locked into a seed. Don't play anybody against the Lions, but it's at home, still could win anyway. So
yeah.
And
they do catch a couple of breaks here too. I mean, like I said, you get the Rams coming off the bye, but also you're going to London to face the Giants.
Oh, good call.
You're coming back from that, and you're facing the Jets. It's not like you have this crazy juggernaut that's sitting back in the States waiting.
And you don't have your bye after coming back from London, right?
No, you don't.
Yeah. Sorry, the at-home game versus the Giants is in London. Good catch. Like they could easily go into Philadelphia and win. I mean,
for sure.
They could go. Look, they could go into Buffalo or go into Tampa and win, but it's just you have to sort of, weigh. It may even come down to that game at Minnesota. They win that, and they should cruise over this win total fairly easily. Like I think they're a 13-win team again, and I would not want to get in front of Aaron Rodgers even with the loss of Devontae Adams. So I will take the over on this game.
Well, even their record without Adams, I mean, that's been highly publicized too. It's been great. I mean, Rodgers, his numbers are good without Adams. Again, small sample size, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. So I don't want to make light of it, but at the same time,
he's been great
talking about
Adams.
A back-to-back MVP.
Yeah. Thank you to Dominic in the chat who points out that I sounded sick with Breech yesterday. Yes.
Are you sick? Where are you at?
I'm not sick now.
Well, that's good.
I lost my voice.
I thought I was going to lose my voice. I was at a concert last night, and I'm like,
oh, who'd you go see?
I saw Ringo Starr.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was at a concert too for 2 nights.
There you go.
Saw little band.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, my guys.
I like it.
I did. Anyway. So my voice is shot. I'll be back Monday. All right, let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. They had a pretty, change heavy offseason because they had a new general manager, a whole new front office and a new coaching staff. As we mentioned, they added Darius Smith in free agency and a big deal after the Packers released him. Should at least get 2 revenge games out of him. Jordan Hicks also signed from Arizona, Harrison Phillips as well. Some nice additions on the defensive side of the ball there. They lost Tyler Conklin, Michael Pearson. Of course, they have a new coaching staff with Kevin O'Connell replacing Mike Zimmer. Kirk Cousins also got an extension. I think it's pretty tough to it's tough to get a grasp on what the Vikings will be. Right? Yeah. Because Zimmer's been there so long. Now, the defense has not been good for the last few years. Some people will argue that because that the defense could get better because they're healthier. I think the loss of Zimmer is going to make the defense worse. I don't care what you think about Mike Zimmer. He's a really good defensive coach. And losing him is going to be problematic. I mean, look, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like they could be, they could. I mean, if the defense is good, I mean, it's not outrageous because they have some nice personnel. But I mean, like Ed Donatel is not exactly like Wade Phillips here, or, somebody who's noted for coming in and like fixing defenses. The offense I would expect would be better, and they'll probably utilize Dalvin Cook more in the passing game. That's what he sort of mentioned, but not exactly an easy. Although I guess I mean, I guess it depends. They opened the Packers at home and then at the Eagles. Like 0-2 is. They're probably not favored in either of those games.
No. I mean, you really gotta, again, right after that, really capitalize when you have the Lions, Saints, Bears, and even Dolphins before the bye. That's where you're gonna start to stack up wins to feel really confident. If you all of a sudden you're hovering around like 500 at the bye there in what is that, week 7, you're starting to have some worries there. I mean, I think that is DeAndre Hopkins going to be back for that game with the Cardinals? What is that, week 8?
Yeah, he'd be back for week 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not.
So you got all right. So you got the Packers and the Eagles. Let's just say you go 1-1 because we get the Packers are lost there.
Yep. Sure.
I think you beat the Lions at home, so you're 2-1. I mean, I think losing at the Saints is probably 2-2,
mm-hmm.
And then I think you're probably split with the Bears and Dolphins too, since one's at home and on the road. So I mean, 3-3 is not crazy, and we're giving you a win against the freaking Packers here,
right?
So,
right.
You come out, it's home against the Cardinals. That's a dogfight. At Washington, not an easy one. At Buffalo, I mean, it's probably a loss.
I mean, that stretch beginning right there, really. At Buffalo, then you go to then you're hosting Dallas, even hosting New England on Thanksgiving.
Yep,
those won't be easy.
And you've also got, the Jets at home. That's probably a win. But then you're at the Lions, Colts at home, Giants at home, and then at the Packers, which you would anticipate would be a loss before closing at the Bears, which Kirk Cousins just had trouble at Chicago. I don't think Chicago's going to be good this year. So, I mean, that's, we'll see. But if their win total is 9, the over minus 125 after going 8-9 a year ago. I know they also had Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth on the defensive side of the ball, but man, I mean, I just don't know where to go with this team. 9-8 or 8-9 feels totally possible. Could they be a 10-win team and sneak into the playoffs? Yeah, for sure. As a wild card, wouldn't shock me at all. But, I think they're definitely probably the second best team in this division.
Mm-hmm.
But I do worry that like the Lions might, take a little step forward, and all of a sudden, you lose the possibility of getting those wins. Like we don't know what this coaching staff can. We don't know how this coaching staff will operate. It could be great. Could be, it could be TB. They're just very much a toss up to me.
Yeah, and it's just tough when you look at the schedule. It's tough to see where they can stack up wins. We just talked about the few weeks leading up to the bye, like, Lions, Saints at New Orleans will be difficult, Bears and Dolphins. There's a chance there where you can pile up wins. But after that, like Commanders, then you get the Bills and the Cowboys and the Patriots. Then you have the Jets and the Lions. Okay, maybe you could stack up a couple wins there, but then you're facing the Colts. Then you face the Giants, and then it's the Packers. There's not a lot of room there to stack 2-3 wins every single week, or at least I don't think you're gonna be favored in multiple weeks going in in a row.
Yeah, I mean, really the only stretch, it depends. Like if they're good, if they come out and start, 4-2 or 5-1, then they're going to be favored in more of those games after the bye. But I mean, man, 5-1 would be a shocker going into that week 7 bye. I think 3-3 is much more likely. 4-2, again, entirely possible. You beat, hold serve at home, and then win 1 at New Orleans or at Miami, and you're right there. But or at Philly, I guess. I mean, it's just there's a lot of we just don't know how good this team is going to be. I think the offense can be great. If the defense is above average or above average, then the Vikings are really a playoff team. If the defense stinks, it's just going to be tough to overcome. It feels like it could be a lot like last year where they're just in these crazy games. And, you would think O'Connell will open the offense up a little bit more than Zimmer would, or at least keep his foot on the gas, not try to play in these close, crazy games, But like I said, it's just like kind of a mystery team. I don't know. I don't think I would want to take the under, but I don't think I want to take the over either.
Well, let me tell you this, or let me ask you this. If they get 10 wins, if they go over this number, if they're 10-7, are they making the playoffs in an NFC?
Yeah. In the NFC, yeah. And Kevin O'Connell's probably a coach of the year candidate.
So you're probably better off because again, this is minus 125. You're better off at, I had this number yesterday, you're plus 105 to make the playoffs for the Vikings. You're
Yeah, I
much,
like that.
if you like the over on this, there's more value in to just say make or miss playoffs, make playoffs plus 105.
In fact, because 9 and 8 could even make the playoffs in theory in the NFC. So you
Yeah.
could avoid the push by going to bet 105 to make the playoffs, and you have multiple paths to get there, right? Like you have 3 wildcard spots and a division spot, even though that's a pretty unrealistic place to go. So yeah, I think I like that a lot better. Good call.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and we come back. The Bears and the Lions. Oh my! Next.
I'm not comfortable living in a hot dog. It's still way better than your house, kitty. I can't do this anymore, Mom. If you won't listen to me, then I really don't have a choice.
So you're running away?
South Park, The Streaming Wars, now streaming.
Okay, well, I'll see ya.
Bye, honey.
Cute.
Exclusively on Paramount Plus.
It's impossible not to. I mean, again, I know, like, if you're watching on YouTube, we just had a South Park commercial. It just blows my mind. Like, yeah, we had a Sonic the Hedgehog commercial and a Top Gun Maverick commercial. I mean, these are the best.
It's awesome.
Why would you not get Paramount Plus or just like, bow down to our Paramount overlords?
I enjoy it.
Yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. The Chicago Bears went 6-11 last year. They were the third place team in the division. Their over-under is 6.5. They have a number of additions, but none that like really get you going. I mean, Byron Pringle and Equinemius St. Brown at the wide receiver position, and Justin Jones, my boy from NC State, at the defensive tackle position. After the Larry Ogunjobi signing did not work out, they lost Allen Robinson, Andy Dalton / Nick Foles. They traded Khalil Mack. Tariq Cohen's been released. Eddie Goldman's been released. Akeem Hicks is gone as well. Danny Trevathan's been released. Marquise Goodwin, Jakeem Grant, Jameer Byrd, all wide receivers who are gone. I mean, I look at this team and think these guys are not that interested in winning a ton of football games this year based on their transactional moves. I have major questions about what the Bears are trying to do with Justin Fields, because this is just not how you would build around a franchise quarterback. If you believe he's a franchise quarterback, it may simply be a bad timing of new regime drafts guy, then still gets fired after 1 year. Old regime drafts guy gets fired after 1 year. New regime comes in and it's like, look, before we can be a contender, we got to clean this up. And so they just decided to kind of completely reboot. They're going to have a totally new defense. They've been running the 3-4 for years. Matt Eberflus, presumably going to run the 4-3 in that zone 4-3 that he loves to run. And I mean, look, there's no reason this over-under should be as high as 6.5, in my opinion.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at 3 of your first 5 on the road. One of those games at home is the opener against San Francisco. You're
and they're 8-point dogs or whatever.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, maybe, you're playing the Texans in week 3. So you can hang your hat on possibly, being a favorite there. But I could even see Houston beating you in that situation.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you're talking about what? Like 0-5 to begin the year?
I think we got to give them the Houston win.
Yeah.
So that gets you to, can we give them a win against Washington at home? I think that's not.
Yeah. No, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
All right. So 6 weeks in, we got them 2-4. At New England loss, at Cowboys loss, that's 2-6. Man, right here is where it might flip. Is like Dolphins at home, Lions at home, at Falcons, at Jets. If they're not going to win all 4 of those, do we have a split there?
3-1 is best case, I think.
3-1 would be an incredible run for them.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go 3-1. So now they're 5-7. Packers at home in week 13. I think that's a loss. And then Philly at home in week 15. I think that's a loss. Bills at home in week 16. I have that as a loss. So at Lions, home against Vikings. When you're 5-10?
At very best, you're probably getting 6 wins.
Yeah.
So you're hitting the under here for sure. And again, that is top output. But from, I think you kind of feel the same way I do about this Chicago team. I don't know if they're going to be scoring a lot of points here. I don't think they're going to be particularly very good. So kind of
First time offensive coordinator, Lou Getsy. Like it's not an easy, working. Now, on the other hand, you could argue that he might, unlike Matt Nagy, design an offense that helps Justin Fields, but they still just don't have a ton of weapons. It's like Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, it's just there's not a lot to write home about. Even when you have David Montgomery in the backfield too, it's like I guess that there are some pieces, but ultimately nothing that really impresses you. And kind of an alternate bet that I would be looking at here, if you don't find this super valuable, Chicago is the lowest scoring offense in the NFL plus 700. That to me is something that I'm keeping an eye on. That's the third lowest odds.
7-1.
Yeah,
How
third lowest odds in the NFL.
Be the lowest scoring offense. That's a good deal.
And so they were the sixth fewest last year. And in the 10 games that Fields started, they were averaging 16.8 points per game. That might, if they, and that is with like Allen Robinson and those guys obviously playing. So I think that is a little, if you feel like I think we do, where this team isn't going to be particularly very good or not interested in being very good, and they don't have a lot of weapons, that might be an area where I'm saying, okay, they might be the lowest scoring offense in the NFL, or at least it's conceivable. I think that 7-1 type of long shot is a little bit more juicy than just this under win total.
Perkle Panda 55 in the chat says, I really like Matt Eberflus. They really got the best guy they could. I like Matt Eberflus too.
For sure, yeah.
I'm not saying he can't be good. I just don't think the way that they're not going to be able to stop anybody against a run. And maybe Roquan Smith is an unbelievable fit in this defense. It's entirely possible. We saw how well, Darius Leonard did, different physical, skill sets, but similar statistical production for both those guys. It's just, man, it's like, I think that this new regime, Ryan Poles and Eberflus, came in and was like, look, we can make this work, but you guys are going to have to be patient and understand that this roster is not anywhere near competitive, despite maybe making the playoffs and then flirting with the playoffs and being like sneaking. You don't want to sneak into the playoffs in the NFL. No. Like, you don't want to be this fringe contending team that sneaks in the playoffs and gets blown out in a wild card game, or needs like a double doink to win a wild card. Like
I was gonna say, they were that under Nagy towards the tail end, where Trubisky went on that run, and all of a sudden they're in the playoffs. But what does that really do you?
Exactly. Like I just don't think that. I think they're trying to build a base. And they didn't have a first round pick, right? I mean, like it's just hard to, you can't flip a team around when you don't have a first. Then they used the second round pick, Jaquan Brisker. They get a safety and Kyler Gordon. They had 2 second round picks after the Khalil Mack trade. So they shored up the defensive secondary. And, Robert Quinn has been a great pass rusher. Jalen Johnson's a really good cornerback. Eddie Jackson has been good at times. Like there's a chance his defense is closer to average than we think. I just don't see a path to the offense being any good.
Right. And that's where I'm paying attention a little bit more in terms of the win total. Again, I'm going under, but I also have my eye on the lowest scoring offense in the NFL, 7-1. I think it's the Texans and the Falcons are the only 2 teams that have worse odds. And, Texans could score. If Davis Mills is any good, there's more weapons around him than there is Justin Fields right now. And, I don't know what Atlanta will look like. So that might be the kind of wild card there to rival you with Chicago. But ultimately, I think you'll be right there.
I was looking at the highest scoring. I was like, oh my God, the Seahawks are in the top 5. No, the Seahawks are also 8-1. That's a good candidate to be the lowest scoring team as well. But I think the Bears offense might take sort of a similar approach in that they know their personnel is limited. They're not going to run some up tempo, like chuck it around. We got great weapons type of thing. I think they're going to want to run the football, be a little, conservative with how they handle Justin Fields and to make sure that, their defense isn't on the field for an extremely lengthy period of time, because I think they believe they're probably going to win with defense. Like I would expect, look at the Colts, right? Eberflus was there. I'm not saying he's going to follow Frank Reich, but I feel like it's going to be like the Colts, whether it was Rivers or, Wentz or now Matt Ryan, you don't expect this up-tempo bombs away offense. It's going to be, I think the Bears want to be that as well too. That would be my guess. So yeah, I like the lowest scoring team. That makes a ton of sense. And we love the under. It was one of my favorite unders on the board. All right. The Detroit Lions, 3-14 last year, but it felt like they were much better than that.
Absolutely.
They're over under 6 wins. over is -135. They picked up Gerard Davis, a former high draft pick who was with the Lions and then went to New York and now is back with the Lions. Also added DJ Chark in free agency. Trey Flowers is gone, as is Kadiril Hodge, excuse me. And, look, this is, again, like the Bears. It's not a team that is, they also added Jameson Williams in the draft, of course, and Aiden Hutchinson. So 2 blue chipper guys in a questionable draft, but maybe 2 guys who can impact this team early on. I don't hate the Lions roster.
No, I like it much more than Chicago.
Way more than Chicago. Like, their defensive line is pretty good. Right? I mean, if you like Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson and Michael Brockers.
I mean, there is potential here. Like you said, they were, well under 500 last year, but it didn't feel like it. And, when you start looking at kind of the betting trends, they were 11-6 against the spread last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in a lot of these games. There was a lot of heartbreaks for them last year. They were playing hard under Dan Campbell. And so when you're going into year 2 of that system, year 2 of Jared Goff being comfortable in that system, you're adding more pieces. There's a chance that they could surprise. I mean, I don't know if they're winning the division or anything like that, but I could see them going over 6 wins here.
I like him to go over 6 wins a lot, honestly. I mean, it's -135 too, so the juice is pretty high. But you look at the schedule, and they open up against the Eagles at home, 3.5-point dogs. I mean, the Eagles blitzkrieged them last year. I'm sure everyone will pick the Eagles, but the Lions could be frisky in that game, or friskier than they were before. You get Washington at home. I think worst case you split those 2. At Minnesota, give them a loss. Home against Seattle, I think that's probably a win.
That's a win. At
New England, so let's say you're 2-3 going to the bye. Cowboys on the road in week 7. I think it's fair to call that a loss. And then Dolphins, Packers at home. So that's 1-1. So we got 3-5, excuse me, after 9 weeks. At the Bears could absolutely be a win.
For sure.
It's probably a little unfair to give them a sweep of the Bears. Like, I think we probably.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But again, if we're both down on the Bears, it's
not crazy. Like,
no, it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
And then at the Giants, that's a game they could win.
Yep. Very winnable. Bills, not so much.
Bills on Thanksgiving at home, not very winnable. Jaguars and Vikings at home again. At the Jets they can win. At the Panthers they can win. Versus Chicago in Week 17 they can win. Like, there's a lot of winnable games for the Lions on this schedule.
And unlike, I think it was the Vikings that we were talking about, there's a lot of wiggle room for them to kind of go on runs too. You're talking about, after that Minnesota game, which again conceivably could win that game, but you're facing a Jets team, a Panthers team, and Chicago team that we all think they should be better than, or should be at least close, or even, if you're talking New York, maybe. I mean, there's, you can go on a 3-game winning streak pretty much to end the year outside of going to Lambeau in Week 18.
Right.
Which
and even
gets
in
you
Week
halfway
18 in
there.
Lambeau, like, it's possible that the Packers are sitting everybody.
Yeah.
Because they've clinched the 2 seed, or they've clinched the 1 seed, or they're just locked into whatever seed they are, and they don't need to play Detroit, or they don't need to play their stars against Detroit. And then if Detroit won, it just wouldn't be that crazy. So,
right,
I think
especially if you have a team like, like Tampa, who's in an extremely easy division. They might have a 1 seed already locked up. Packers, can't even touch them. They're stuck in their ways. They have to sit back and just kind of rest their guys. It's totally possible.
Right. I mean, it just wouldn't be that surprising at all. So, big on. I think if I were picking 2 things out of here, it would be, or I guess our 3 bets. If we were probably consensus bets, Vikings make playoffs +105, Lions over 6, even though it's -135, and Bears under 6.5.
Absolutely.
All seem like pretty good looks in terms of the NFC North. All right. That'll do it.
I like it.
Sully, great stuff as always, buddy. Everyone enjoy their weekend. Get your voices back. Or go lose them again. Whatever. Do whatever you want. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Sully, I'm Brinson. We will see you guys later.